Today we're going to review the last of the 4 laptops that I imported from AliExpress from China. This one here is another China exclusive SKU. This is the Lenovo Xiaoxin Pro GT. This here is the 14-inch model. There is a 16-inch model. I decided to get the 14-inch model because I just think it's a little cuter, a little nicer, a little more interesting. 16 would also be sweet too. Xiaoxin, I guess, is like, it's technically, I guess, like their IdeaPad Pro. This one here, the IdeaPad Pro, the Xiaoxin Pro GT. It's not exactly, because the chassis is actually a lot more kind of like a Yoga. It's not exactly. I mean, I would think of it as, either a IdeaPad Pro or a Lenovo Yoga Pro. And here in the West, and especially in like Canada, we've changed around the names between the Yoga and the IdeaPad a lot. Now they finally separated them out. In Europe, it was kind of the same. So anyways, it's confusing. It's the Xiaoxin is what it is. And it's basically something like a Lenovo Yoga, or probably more specifically an IdeaPad Pro. But we can't get this in the West. Why does that matter? I mean, just because you can't get a laptop in the West doesn't mean you should actually import it. Well, this one is pretty sweet. It has a very premium feel. You have the metal lid, metal bottom, nice, very, very, very thin laptop, kind of like the Lenovo Aura Edition laptops that they had. So it's just this very light, premium feeling laptop. It just looks nice, feels nice. It's a little bit more discreet than some of the other laptops out there that are just full of colors and gaming accessories, and that's a really nice machine. It also stands itself out from the ThinkPads. Personally, I think the IdeaPad Pros and the Yoga Pros, generally speaking, and the Slims in those as well, are Lenovo's best laptops. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. That's my opinion. So what makes this one interesting primarily is that it has really interesting specs that you can't get in the West yet in terms of the CPU. And then, of course, it has an incredibly good screen because it's a Lenovo Xiaoxin. The Chinese market is very picky when it comes to screens. Spoiler for this video, this is an easy recommend as long as the price is good. So let's jump in the builder and let's check out why this Xiaoxin Pro GT 14-inch specifically is awesome. So to start here, we're going to look at the Lenovo China website. I'll just do the translate here. I've been through here a few times, so I can probably guide it fairly well. You can see here there's a 14-inch GT and a 16-inch right here. Ultra 9, that's the 16-inch one there. Okay, so we can see here it does have the Ultra 9 285. You do have 32 gigabytes of RAM, soldered, not upgradable, but very fast. Comes with a 1 terabyte NVMe Gen 4, but you can add more. Looks like there is a Gen 5 support as well. Second, Arc 140T graphics. I'm actually working on a video right now with the iGPU, and you'll see it at the end of this video. Very, very capable iGPU. Screen here is a major seller of this laptop. 1100 nit peak brightness, but still 1100 nits. It's a 2.8K resolution, so nice high density, nice high pixel density on it, and it's an OLED. And it doesn't say here, but it's in the DCI-P color space, DCI-P3 color space. It doesn't say, but it's here. I know it. And it does have a less than 1 delta E, which is very nice for color calibration. Also, VRR. 30 to 120 hertz. Fantastic. Now, I can't speak to other sellers, but I bought mine on AliExpress. This is one of the 4 Chinese laptops that I bought, Chinese exclusive laptops that I bought this year so far. I also bought 4 or 5 of them off the same seller last year. This is the seller over here. Fantastic seller from my experience. And they have very high rating. We can click on their store. You can see very, very highly rated. I don't think they ship to every country, but they do ship to Canada. Maybe the US, I don't know, but Canadians, yeah, you can get it from them. And my personal experience is fantastic. I've also ordered many things from AliExpress, and so far I've had no problems ordering off AliExpress. Here you can see this is the Ultra 5 255H. I probably wouldn't go for that, honestly. I'd go for the higher one here, a couple $100 Canadian more. For Americans, that's like, I don't know, $140 more, and you get a significantly more powerful GPU. The 140T, and you also get a much more powerful CPU. This I didn't pay $2,000 for it. I got it on a sale. AliExpress does have sales all the time. You can stack coupons on the front page. So, hey, look at that guy. That's me leaving a review, and I wanted to leave them a review. So I'll leave some links in the video description down below to this specific seller and this specific one. I can't speak to other sellers. That's up to you. But whatever you do, if you do get off these guys, that would be fan. I mean, they're great, but if you do go with other guys, just make sure you do check their ratings. Now, the laptop itself is quite premium feeling. We have a metal lid here. Is that a metal or plastic? Yeah, it feels like a metal lid there. Metal bottom. Inside, I believe this is a plasticky material, but that's okay. Yeah, that's a plasticky material. So you get metal and plastic mix, I suppose, there. Very rigid in the hands, absolutely no flex. You'd have to physically break the laptop to get any flex off of it. So that's quite nice. Very sleek design. I love these kind of Yogas and IdeaPad Pros and that. So in this case, the Xiaoxin, they're just nice, sleek. They resist fingerprints. They look premium. A little bit of a design there for the camera. It just looks nice overall. Sleek, sleek, sleek. Very thin, does not show up well on camera, but it is a very thin laptop. I don't even know, like here's a USB, for example. All right, we're about as thick as a USB there, all the way around. A little bit of feet to raise it up too, but it's quite a thin laptop overall. And sleek. So let's check the weight. It's not going to be super light because there's a lot of cooling inside of this thing and metal in general. Okay, so 1418. It does have this style of charger here, rather than being like the more traditional brick where there's a thing in the middle. 1664. So the whole carry of this laptop is actually pretty light, all things considered. Port selection is also pretty good. The Chinese laptops rarely have poor port selection because they just won't buy them. Full-size HDMI out, 2 Thunderbolt 4, not 1 but 2. Full-size SD card for people. I mean, this is the type of laptop that would appeal towards a creative type photographer, whatever, graphic designer. Right side, 2 USB-A and headphones. So you get 2 USB-A, 2 USB-C, and HDMI out, and an SD card reader. Really good for a laptop of this size here. Inside, we can see the design language. It just looks like a Lenovo Yoga Pro, or I guess an IdeaPad Pro as well. They all kind of have the same type design language. We have the slick design here, that kind of design up there. Sometimes there's speakers, sometimes there's not, just a design element. Camera bump out there up top, looking pretty nice there. You do have a nice smooth trackpad. We'll get into that later, but large, very kind of clean, professional look to it. I love the look of these laptops. Yes, they're boring, but I like them. They're muted, but they look nice. And keyboard is the rubber style, right? So you're going to be getting that nice IdeaPad / Yoga / ThinkBook keyboard. They're all the same. I have a ThinkBook myself, and it is upstairs, so I'm not going to bring it in. But we'll bring that in just a little bit of a comparison. So that's looking pretty nice. And the screen here is reflective because it is a glossy OLED. Not crazy reflective. There's a little bit of an anti-reflective on it, but it is still a fairly reflective screen. Now let's bring in a sibling of this. That's the ThinkBook. This is a Chinese imported ThinkBook as well. ThinkBook 14 Plus. I have a video on it. So it's going to be a little bit kind of unfair to the Western ThinkBooks because they're not as nice. But I just want to do a comparison if you're comparing, okay, what's Xiaoxin or IdeaPad Pro or whatever versus a ThinkBook. The Xiaoxin is kind of like I guess the closest thing would be an IdeaPad Pro over here. But it also is quite similar to the Yoga as well. They're almost the identical chassis. So if you're looking at a Yoga Pro or IdeaPad Pro, they'll basically look like this and feel like that. So you can see there's a little bit of a size difference here. This one here is 14.5, so there's a little bit more height on it, right? It's a little bit thicker. It's heavier too. Neither of them are light, but this is definitely a slightly heavier laptop, a little bit more robust, I would say. But they do have similar design. You can see inside, right? Get the grills there and such. Same keyboard, same exact keyboard. There's no difference there whatsoever. And I love these keyboards here. This is the rubbery texture style, both of them. Sometimes these laptops come with like a plasticky feel to them, and sometimes they have the rubbery style. There's just, different iterations of them, but generally speaking, they're quite nice. You can see this one here has a slightly higher screen. This is 14.5, slightly larger, a little bit more robust, a little bit more, I don't know. It's a different lineup for it. But if you're looking at, ThinkBook versus a Xiaoxin or IdeaPad, if you're over here, Yoga over here, that's the difference between an IdeaPad and a Yoga and a ThinkBook. Slightly different. So in this model here, we do have the 285H. You can get it with a 255H. Honestly, you should probably just get the 255H. I'm going to compare it in this video. This is a 255H. This is a 285H. So Core Ultra 7, Core Ultra 9. You'll see here in my video, spoiler, the 255H actually performs better. Not because the chip is necessarily faster, but these companies can spec out how they, allow wattages and that to go to it. So a higher wattage 255H is still going to beat out a middling wattage 285H. Just be aware of that. But you do get the same iGPU on both of them, 140T, 140T, and technically they should perform identically. So the Cinebench score might be slightly higher on, a higher wattage CPU, but the iGPU when in like a game doesn't need all those watts. So it's not going to really make any difference there. So that's a very capable iGPU. I've already done some testing for some videos upcoming, like full iGPU testing. And this one here is an outstanding iGPU, one of the best you can possibly buy on the market right now. Probably the second best, to be honest. RAM on it, very fast, 8,533 mega transfers. It is soldered, but it's very fast, which will help with the iGPU and the CPU as well, but especially the iGPU performance will be higher. NVMe is whatever brand that is. I've seen a few of them, and they're very fast, but we'll see. Wi-Fi 7, nice fast Wi-Fi on it too. So very good specs. The screen here, as I said before, is a beautiful OLED screen. They don't mess around with screens over in the Chinese market. 1800p, and the refresh rate here is high, 120 hertz. So you're getting 120 hertz, 1800p OLED, so very fine pixel density and nice refresh on it. It's also 100% DCI-P3, or at least it says DCI-P3 color space. So I'm assuming it's 100% DCI-P3 color space, and it's a beautiful OLED. So it's a killer screen here. It is reflective, but it's not like crazy reflective. You can see, you actually can't see me here very much. Some screens in the West are like, when they're OLEDs, are absurdly reflective. They're almost like a mirror. We don't have that here. It is still reflective, but it's not that bad. Like even that's a light right there, and it's not that bad. Normally when you get into this, I'm recording here especially, it can be very challenging to record these OLEDs when they're reflective. Not too bad here. It's a gorgeous screen. So let's jump right into the screen. I mean, this is kind of a spoiler here. It's such a nice looking screen, but let's jump right in and test the screen before we do anything else on this laptop. Okay, that's that. Typically you can zoom that up a little bit here. Typically you can just go in like this from the back. Now is where I go. Yeah, so I just put a little bit of torque on the chassis, just enough that I can get that in there. And then now you can usually go around, and you can typically just pop these off, these Yogas and Lenovo idea pads and that. So metal bottom, some little thermal pads there. That's nice to see. Structurally sound, a little bit of extra structure stuff, and despite being a thinner material, being nice. It smells like brand new electronics inside. Love that smell. Probably VOCs, but that's okay. So what do we got inside here? Looks great. Honestly, for this spec of laptop, we often don't see this kind of stuff in the West, unfortunately. So we'll start with the battery, 84 watt hours. That's a huge battery, a huge battery on this laptop here. You're going to get really good battery life. We'll test it, of course, but I do suspect really good battery life on it. Nice speakers. We do have that rectangular style speaker. I do suspect also good sound. We shall see, but generally the Xiaoxin and Xiaoxin Pro specifically have really nice audio. Dual NVMe is fantastic. We do have one of them being a 2242. That's sad. But then this one here can do 2242 or full-size 2280. So easy upgrade. Honestly, you can usually just leave this drive in here for your operating system most of the time and then just plop in a second one. 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte, whatever. That'll be really nice there. So lots of upgradability there. Upgradable Wi-Fi as well. Fantastic. You love to see it. The RAM is soldered on the motherboard here, so you can't see it. It's going to be covered. So get the amount that you want. This has 32 gigabytes. It'll be just fine. Cooling looks fantastic on this. You can see relatively thick heat pipes for a thin laptop. 2 of them only, but generally speaking, there's a good volume to each heat pipe, and then nice big fans on them, and they are that style where they're curved to reduce turbulence. So this laptop should run quiet. It should run cool, and it should have generally pretty good performance overall. So it's looking pretty good inside, honestly. Happy with that. Lots of upgradability. No RAM is really the only thing you can't upgrade on this laptop, which is fine. I mean, 14-inch relatively thin laptop. They have to compromise somewhere, and in this case, because it's not sold, with something dumb like 8 gigabytes or 16 gigabytes, I'm actually fine with it. So it looks good inside, honestly. Looks quite good. So the keyboard is a keyboard that I am extremely comfortable with. I use it all the time, so I'm going to obviously be very biased in terms of being able to type well on it, but generally speaking, that's because I like this keyboard. I've used so many keyboards, and this is one that I thoroughly enjoy. You can see it has a decently sized keycap. It's not tiny. It's not a tiny little keycap, but they're not huge. Ton of travel though. Rubberized texture to them, so they feel nice when you're actually striking them. They actually feel good, and the layout is very convenient. Good spacing between them, and that leads to generally speaking, good typing accuracy. So let's rip out something here. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic. This is the keyboard that I prefer of like really every keyboard. So obviously I go through a bazillion laptops and I picked one, and I picked the ThinkBook 14 Plus, which has the same keyboard as this. So the trackpad, it's nice. It's got a acrylic or glass texture on the top. I'm not sure if it is, but it's a clear material, which allows it to be nice and smooth. So I'll call it a glass trackpad. I don't actually know if it's officially a glass trackpad, but it feels nice, very smooth to use, and a nice click on it. Loud and sharp, like a trackpad should be. Okay, so you can see me reflected there. It's a pretty reflective screen on black surfaces. I mean, that's crazy that that's not the most reflective. It does have a little bit of an anti-reflection, anti-gloss coating on it. It's still very reflective, but it's a little bit of light diffusion. So one of the advantages is, I mean, obviously the colors are going to look really nice. So we'll come in here and just go for a moment, and we'll check out one of these screens that really highlights this advantage screen here. So these are very similar screens. DCI-P3 color space, DCI-P3 color space, same resolution, both 120 Hertz. So the only real difference is this is IPS tech versus OLED tech. But we'll come in here, we'll go here, for example, and we can see that in both cases, it is an incredibly rich, vibrant experience here. People think that by default, OLEDs look nicer, which for colors is not true at all. 100% DCI-P3 is 100% DCI-P3. If they're both well calibrated, they're both going to be gorgeous. And you can see in both cases, the reds pop off the screen. The camera might freak out a little bit, but they basically look identical here. I can't tell the difference. One's, I guess, slightly more reflective, one's less. Typically, when it's a glossy screen, it has a touch more vibrancy. So it's not that this is an OLED, it's that it's a glossy screen, which gives a touch more vibrancy than a matte screen. So you can get IPS screens that are also glossy, and they look more vibrant than a non-glossy. That's just something to be aware of. Now, an area where it is going to win quite easily is the blacks. This is actually an IPS screen that has generally good blacks, something like that there, generally good blacks. It's not going to match an OLED. Now, if we turn off all these lights, we really start to dark it down, you'll start to see the OLED emerge now more. I can definitely see this is no longer OLED level blacks. It's dark, it's a dark black, but it's not going to rival that. And it might not show up well on camera, but the OLED is definitely darker. Of course, it's reflective. And I still have a lot of lights on here. If you were to watch a show on this in complete darkness or play a game, you'd really start to see this OLED black excel in that type scenario. Again, good IPS, so the same colors, they look exactly the same. The main difference here is the blacks. Okay, all right, now here's another area we're going to be looking at here, and we're at full brightness here. The IPS does appear to be slightly brighter, at least to my eyes, but otherwise they're pretty close. They're both good. The greens here. Greens are going to be another area where DCI-P3 color spaces are incredibly vibrant. And honestly, right now the screens look basically identical. A little bit of advantage to the glossy, just in general, but they're basically the same thing, right? So in the OLED blacks, the OLED wins, obviously, right? The absolute blacks, it's going to win, which makes sense. But otherwise, they're even. They're basically the same. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but to me, they look basically identical. Which, I mean, I'm not trying to just like crap on an OLED. It's just you have to be aware of the technology there. That's my laptop. That's my personal laptop. And if you guys watch my channel, you know how unbelievably picky I am about screens, which says a lot. The fact that this is equivalent, or in most cases, I would say, it's basically the same thing, but then it has the advantage of those OLED blacks. So it's basically losing out in being more reflective, but otherwise, it wins out in having better blacks. So it's an incredibly nice screen here. This is a 10 out of 10 level screen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we'll do an audio test now. So just watch your headphones if you are wearing any. This can get pretty loud. Okay, so the speakers sound quite good. They are not as nice as a Yoga 9i with like a quad or a 6-speaker setup from Lenovo, but they're very nice. So we'll come in here and we will get into some hardware info / Cinebench. Check what kind of performance we get here. The 285H is a very capable chip. Wattages we can see coming down here. 88, it goes all the way up to 115 watts. That's pretty good actually. 115 watts there. See how long it can sustain it, but see. Now it's dropping down slightly, 96. We are getting a little spicy in here. Right? That chassis there is a thicker chassis with slightly better cooling. So the 255H actually runs cooler in there. It's doing quite well, right? 21,000. It's roughly similar to the 255H here. They're very similar. Core Ultra 9 versus Core Ultra 7. It's your choice which one you go with. But on the Core Ultra 9 here, you're going to get very, very similar raw performance as the Core Ultra 7. So it's your pick which one you want. I mean, technically this is a higher wattage chip, but they actually run roughly the same. Around 50 dB on full performance mode is actually pretty good. It's a relatively thin laptop pulling a ton of watts, right? We had 116 peak and now we're still sitting at 67. It's not able to maintain, 100 watts overall because of the temperatures. You can see it's actually dropping down and the score is going to drop down slightly. It's still very respectable. The ThinkBook, for example, can maintain these performance indefinitely. It doesn't have to drop down the wattages, just the way that it is. But it's still running relatively cool. Balance mode now. Much quieter. Okay, so now the actual benchmark results. Performance mode here. This was a long run here. We did, I guess, 4 minutes or whatever. And it sat at about 20,000, so similar to my quick poke before that. And then I did a short burst here in about a minute, and you're getting about 22.2 thousand. So it does very, very good regardless. You do get a little bit more performance in that short burst, but regardless, I mean, these are Ultrabooks giving you 20 or more thousand in Cinebench. That is very impressive from these 285H. Just so you know, it's actually very similar to the 255H. Just be aware of that. And then dropping down to balance mode here, 18,000. So even though we dropped a ton of watts, the laptop's much quieter, still very good. And then even going down to silent mode, this thing was getting very few watts. And even in silent mode, we're still getting 10,000, which is very impressive. So these are some real next-gen chips here where we're getting really good performance. And you'll see the iGPU later, how great that is. Wi-Fi, this is as fast as my Wi-Fi goes. I've had no issues with signal on this laptop. It's quite good. Included NVMe, like I said, it's a 2242. It would be better if it was a 2280, but there's not a lot of room in here. Just leave this one in here because it's really quick, to be honest. And then you just use that second slot for more storage. Then battery life is another area that these laptops do generally pretty well, especially considering just how freaking powerful they are with these chips here. Here is 100% brightness. I did put it down to 60 hertz, but here's 100% brightness. So very bright, obviously. Just hanging out in Windows, moving around a little bit inside Windows. And we're burning around, 6.5 watts or so. So that's about 11 or 12 hours just hanging out with this relatively powerful chip in here. It's pretty good. Then I did some 1080p 60 YouTube, again full brightness, everything kind of hanging out there. It does burn some more watts. We're looking at about 8.5. That's still going to give you 9 to 10 hours. So this is the type of laptop where you're easily going to get all day battery life. 6 hours is more than obtainable here. You're probably going to be looking at more like 8 hours if you're just doing like general tasks. If you're doing some more heavy tasks, maybe then you drop down to 6 hours. But I mean, this is the type of laptop that you're going to take with you to class or to work, and it's going to last you for the day. Okay, built-in webcam right there. Terrible lighting right now. I do have some lights here, but they're kind of like there. Really nothing on the left. It's doing a very good job. I mean, yeah, these webcams are getting better and better, and they're actually using it as a selling feature to have a nice webcam. This thing has actually really good polling rate overall. It's not, I mean, it's desaturating me slightly. I'm like a little bit pale here, but overall it's doing a good job, I would say, considering it's a bit of a challenging scene just based on the lighting. We'll see how the mic sounds, but overall, I'm quite happy with this webcam here, actually. Okay, so now we're going to do some game testing. Now, I'm only going to do one game in this video. The reason is I have a full video planned, or coming, for this here, the ThinkBook, which has the same iGPU and basically the same CPU, 155H. And I have a full video coming on that because I've been using that as my daily driver. And let me tell you, the iGPU is incredibly good on that, on these laptops here. That chip is just, Intel is just really skyrocketing when it comes to iGPUs. I guess, you know, they have desktop stuff now, so they're kind of taking what they learned. So that means that this laptop here is actually a very good gaming device. You know, it's not a gaming laptop, it's not designed to be a gaming laptop, but the iGPU here is going to be able to push AAA gaming at reasonable performance. Right, so let's come in here. I mean, this is Oblivion. I'm doing this because it's brutal, and you can see that like most handhelds and consoles out there are just getting destroyed by this here. So there's a few ways we can do this. We're at, hard to see there, we're at 1200p here, which is fine. I'm going to actually go with 900p, which is a half, I think it would have to be that one there. 1600, yeah, it would be that one there, which is a half integer. There we go. Actually, that's not right. It has to be one more. It has to be that one. There we go. Yeah, so that's 900p. So a little below 1200p. It's fine. The screen here, though, is an 800p screen. So this is going to give us native integer scaling. So we're basically taking that resolution and halving it, which means it's not going to be super blurry. That's one of the advantages of this here. All right, so it looks fine. I have to turn off FSR, though. I have a ton of XeSS on here. So we can turn that way down now. Quality. There we go. All right. So again, this game is incredibly hard to run. It's just like crushing the Steam Deck. You know, the ROG Ally, Legion Go are really having a hard time with it. And I'm not using this laptop. I'm using that one. It's the same thing. You know, you're not going to get, 60 FPS at 100 and at 1440p or anything like that, but you are going to get good performance here, generally good performance. I've been playing on a handheld recently, and I'm having a blast. You can see here, I mean, really challenging scenes. We're still well above, honestly, well above 30, up into almost 40. This is actually good performance for this game. This game is very hard to run. And actually, because you get native XeSS support, I've been using FSR and DLSS. FSR, you're getting like a weird trailer on the sword when I'm running, like it really bad. You get a really bad trailer on the sword. Okay, I guess I'm not getting that at all on XeSS, which is nice. And this has native XeSS support. Any GPU can use XeSS, but because it has XeSS enabled cores, it's going to actually perform better. Where did he go? Oh, he's there. What you got, bro? Give me all that. Get naked. The guy just like appeared out of nowhere. Anyways, so yeah, not to get sidetracked. You're going to have incredibly good game performance on this in, the most demanding games of now, 2025. You'll be fine in 2026. Even in 2027, you're going to start to see maybe a little bit of a drop, start to play with the settings, but you're going to get excellent performance here. So yeah, very good. So that's the Xiaoxin 14-inch, the Pro GT model, killer laptop. I just finished the Xiaoxin 15, I guess it's called, which is a very budget offering from Lenovo. In China, I believe it's like $600 US. I got it for $800 US, but I couldn't get it directly from Lenovo, so there's some intermediate fees. Either way, it was a great price. This one here was a little bit more expensive, but honestly still very, very good price. And what do you get for that very good price here? Well, you get an outstanding keyboard and a really nice trackpad. You get overall a really nice premium feeling chassis, very, very premium feeling chassis, incredibly light and very, very, very rigid and premium feeling. Despite that, awesome laptop. What about the specs? Well, you get an Arrow Lake CPU. There are some coming out just kind of now-ish to the west, and I highly recommend them. I don't know what AMD has right now, but I am a big fan of these Arrow Lake CPUs. I have the 255H in my ThinkBook 14-inch. You can watch that video. That's my daily driver. Outstanding. Outstanding CPU. Inside the laptop, 2 NVMe's. Fantastic. One smaller, but the other one's bigger. It's just really, really nice. RAM, it's soldered, but it runs really fast, so that's fine. So some of the other things here, screen is actually outstanding. Now it is a glossy screen, let's get that there, but it's not as glossy. There's some kind of anti or anti-reflective coating on there. It's not a full anti-reflect. It's certainly not matte, and it's not a full anti-reflect either, but it's just less reflective, which is interesting. I don't know what they did there, but it's not quite as reflective. I have a Lenovo Yoga 9i Pro. It's 14-inch and a 16-inch right now upstairs, and they don't have the same screen. They're glossy mini LED screens, and oh my God, are they glossy. Coming from this and then switching around them, it's like a mirror right in front of you. This one is not that bad. There is some reflectivity, so if you're in a super high reflective environment, maybe not, but honestly, it's really nice. Performance-wise, though, I mean, the Arrow Lake here, crazy good performance. Cinebench 22,000, which is awesome from a CPU that doesn't have any hyper-threading at all. It's not also some like 50-core monster, so that's really good. iGPU is outstanding. I have a full another video coming where we test the iGPU. Speaker's good, keyboard good, trackpad good, chassis design good, screen outstanding. Should you buy it? I mean, I just gave you a bunch of goods. The only negative of this laptop is that you can't easily buy it. That's it. So if they bring this laptop to the West, release it in the United States of America and Canada and Europe, Australia, New Zealand, basically the West, like non-China, we will buy it, Lenovo. We will buy it because I will force people to buy it. I will review it again and be like, remember that laptop that I was like, this thing is sick? Well, now you can buy it. You don't have to import it. So there you go. If you're interested in this laptop, I do recommend checking it out. And let me tell you, it's very performant, very premium, and I mean, at least for now, we're not going to find anything this nice in the West with this kind of specification for a reasonably good price.